Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. I have quite the display here with both my guests and our crafts. I have Vandegraaff Gerhardt, Greta Gerhardt, co-owner of Jago, Jude Grenney. How are you?
We're doing well. We're excited to be here with these sensational assemblages.
Yes. So you guys are from out of town.
We're from San Diego, yes. Our little group, we're called Vandegraaff Gerhardt Laboratories, and of course my wife Karen, and we've been doing these for about 5 years. And then what happened was our house filled up, and someone said, well, have you thought about selling them? And so we went out and we've shown in New York and Santa Fe, and we're very excited to be in Park City. It's I have great space down in the vault and the Wonder Box. It just goes with these pieces so well.
I have lots of questions, lots of questions for you. So first of all, you started not with the intention of selling, you just did it for what, self-fulfillment?
For fun, yes. Well, you see, we like old things, we like antiques, and so we would go to all these antique shops and we'd come with all this stuff, and then I started putting them together, and I sort of have an unusual background and skill set. I'm an electrical engineer, many years ago, which allows me to do the electrical stuff.
A little tinkering?
Yes, and then into antiques, and then learned how to do woodworking along the way, and welding and fixing old cars. So all this seemed to come together when I started making these pieces.
So these mantel clocks really are antiques. They're not made to look old.
Oh no, these are. This is an old mantel clock, and they were very ubiquitous. I mean, if you were in the middle class, you would have a mantel clock. You could buy them from Sears, or Montgomery Ward in 1890, and they would ship them to you. So we take these old clocks and we refinish them, and sometimes I add a little extra bling, a little more brass than they would have had.
Right.
And
a little extra.
Well, then I take the old piece, and then what I do is I add new electronics. See, I mean, I can do the plasma ball here, but I put like a brand new clock movement inside of it, but I put it up here rather than in there. And of course, now you have all the gears and the movements. So when you do that, now with using copper and brass, they dress this way because that brings it into the genre of steampunk.
Which is the style you would
and that would have to be. And steampunk is Victorian science fiction, and it has to do with how they imagined the future might be. Jules Verne, H.G. Wells. But their time machine would have an oriental carpet on it and sofas. That's just because they thought. So what we do here, what makes these steampunk is they're very sort of far out, but yet they're built with old things, and they're very pretty. Now this piece is interesting because it has a Jacob's ladder, which is about 20,000 volts. You think it would hurt you, but it doesn't.
Can we touch it? Like, I'm afraid to touch it.
No, you can't. Actually, I've touched it so many times. No. It gets a little warm, but no, and they're very safe because it's high frequency and very little current. And then I create sort of ideas of what this is. This is a fermion collector. A fermion is a real particle in physics and named after Enrico Fermi, and I create this little idea of how the particles are broken apart and they're captured in the antenna and amplified in the photonic tube and stored, and so we create little stories around the piece, but by its very nature they're pretty. They're very beautiful, and they can have a little bit of functionality. So art, to me, I wanted to stimulate the senses. So I feel
very stimulated looking at these.
Well, assemblages go back to Picasso and Duchamp, and so I call these sensational assemblages because they're assaulting your senses.
Right.
So I like art to sort of grab you, not be sort of passive. You walk by that, you're going to look at it.
I know, you're going to stop and look at all the gears.
Yes.
Okay, what else is moving? What's lighting up?
Yes, and even on some of my clocks, I think I have one at Jago, the clock runs backwards but still tells the right time.
How does that happen?
Well, it just does, and it's a great mental exercise to see that clock and figure out what is it really telling the right time.
Let's talk about Jago. How did you guys find each other?
Well, we have the Wonder Box in Jago, which is an old silver vault that holds curiosities, curious art. It's a little different aesthetic than the rest of the fine art in Jago, and Vandegraaff came in a few years ago and has been visiting ever since and loving it. and showing me his work, and his work has just been getting more and more fantastic. And this year he came to me with this body of new pieces that I was like, yes, let's have a show. Let's get these sensational assemblages in there.
So we have how many pieces in Jago?
8.
We have 8.
8 pieces.
And we have a show
Tonight.
Tonight.
Are you
Opening.
guys going to be there?
Absolutely. Are you coming?
Yes.
Good. All right.
I will.
Yeah, we're having 6 o'clock tonight, right?
6
Jude?
to 9 tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah. They'll be there explaining their assemblages, and you can hear them and touch them and interact with them.
Greta, what is your involvement in all this?
I do a lot of the detail work on the pieces, and I always like to say that I do everything that requires patience.
He doesn't have patience? I can't tell.
Well, no, she also has little hands, and I use all slot head screws. I'm very sort of a perfectionist about the bespoke. I try to honor the craftsmanship. So there's no Phillips head screws, there's no glue, there's no drywall screws. These are made, and so when I have all these little screws and I have these big hands, Greta there comes along and does a lot of the detail work.
Touches.
And then there's a piece, and she does polymer clay in her own right, and there's a piece where she has totally decked it out with polymer clay decoration. So we do things in that genre too.
Really, every single piece is different.
Yes.
Every single
They
piece.
have to be different. In fact, no two pieces could ever be the same, because I can't get the pieces I've gotten here. So every piece is unique. I mean, they can have the same style, but I can't get the same exact sets of pieces, because we scrounge through antique shops and we buy a lot on eBay, and boxes of junks go to estate sales, and then so every piece is totally different.
Question for you. How did you transport this from San Diego? Is this a carry-on item?
We drive everywhere.
You drive?
We drive. We drive everywhere. So these were actually all wrapped up. In fact, we had them like in a baby seat in the back seat.
Did?
Yeah. So, but anyway, so yeah, they're all carefully strapped in, and I have a couple of boxes made for a couple of the bigger pieces.
That's awesome. All right, Jude, what else do you have going on at Jago?
Well, because it's February and President's Day weekend, we have this show this Friday, and next Friday we have Curtis Olson's brand new work, and he'll be in the gallery for Gallery Stroll from 6 to 9. So
awesome.
Can't make it this week. These will also still be in the Wonder Box next weekend, and Curtis will be there with a new body of fine art.
Of course, and we'll hear from you next Friday, hopefully on the show, about what else is going on Main Street for last Friday Gallery Stroll.
Exactly.
All right, guys, well, you guys are only here for one night, right?
Yes.
Tonight's the only night. So if you guys don't want to miss out on these two characters, I don't even know, you guys are fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I would suggest heading out and meeting them at Jago tonight. All right, guys, that wraps up right now on the Mountain Morning Show. We have more coming up, though, so stay tuned.